Yeah.
Testing,
yeah.
1, 2, testing.
Check, 1, 2. How's that, Palle? We're popping Palle's ears.
You're too close.
Poppies. That's what I'm going to do now for my pop check. Too many poppies. Too many poppies.
You do know that I am recording now, and I'm going to use this.
Awesome.
Okay, let's start.
Welcome to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. Here are your hosts, the radio vagabond Palle and TBEX CEO Rick Calvert.
Welcome to Travel Matters. We are in Eau Claire, Wisconsin for TBEX North America 2023. My name is Palle. I'm here with good old Rick Calvert, and we have...
You don't have to emphasize the old, Palle.
I said emphasize good.
Okay, very good.
And we're here with somebody who's been to about the same amount of TBEXs as I have, 10. Is that right, Mike?
Yep. This is my 10th one.
Mike from Mike's Road Trip.
Correct.
Mike Shubic from Mike's Road Trip.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mike, it's good to see you, buddy. It's been a while since the pandemic, and you actually stopped vlogging for a little bit. Came back because the real world sucks.
Yeah. Sort of been reinvigorated by AI, so kind of excited to be speaking on that topic here today.
I think a lot of people don't know this about you, but we've talked a few times that you get kind of geeky with new technology.
Yeah, I've always kind of been an early adopter of things. I was in the internet like back in the early 90s before the World Wide Web had even come out.
When it did boop, 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 boop. Oh, to get online.
Yes. Dial up. Yes. Actually, I also saw the potential for Segway. I started one of the very first Segway rental businesses in the world. Now there are thousands of them
all over.
So I've always kind of loved to see the new technologies coming out. I really thought right when maybe a year or two after YouTube came out, I knew my background's in marketing. So I knew from a marketing perspective, video was going to be king. And it really has proven out that way. And now we're in this new era of AI.
Yeah. So you're going to be talking later today about AI. What's your talk about?
Well, I'm going to touch upon several of the AI tools that I've been dabbling with. A lot of people are certainly familiar with ChatGPT, but there are dozens and dozens, well, perhaps hundreds of AI tools already deployed, and certainly hundreds more coming out. Some that will really be niche focused. Some will be a little bit broader, but there's so many opportunities, I think, today for content creators who will be adapting and adopting some of these new tools and techniques to really open up the doors for new revenue potentials, reaching new audiences. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Absolutely. What are the names of some of the platforms you're going to talk about today?
Well, mainly I'm going to talk about ChatGPT and really dive in how to really create content, but what I'm also going to mention is audio for AI. I'm going to mention a number of different tools, but that category as a whole. I'm also going to talk a little bit about marketing because those of us who are self-employed have to wear multiple hats. And then I'm going to talk about video. Some of the things happening in video are going to be extraordinary. I'll also touch on photography, but for photography, it's been much easier to manipulate photos. Video's always been way more labor intensive, but with AI, it's going to be a lot easier.
Save you a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the least fun part of it, right? When you're creating videos, the editing.
I would say kind of it's really fun. The end result is quite amazing because all your blood, sweat, and tears come out in that final product. And that's a lot of fun to see the organic creation of a video.
Thank you for sharing Travel Matters with your friends and followers on social media. You're the best.
When did you start using AI tools?
Well, I've kind of probably dabbled in certain areas. Like from a photography point of view, I've been using photo AI stuff for quite a while. I use Luminar AI. But from, I would say I really dove in about November of last year. So still a newbie, but
that's how fast it's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Every day I get articles sent to me because that's an area of interest. And I am blown away at all the new stuff that's coming out.
Are you worried at all about the risks of AI? Do you think, like me, the robots are going to kill us all? Or,
well, one of the things I'll mention in my presentation is there is no question in the short term there's going to be huge negative impact on a lot of people. People will be displaced. It's funny because robots have been displacing blue collar workers in manufacturing for a long time now.
Yep.
But AI is now displacing they'll start to displace. Right now, they're really augmenting doctors, lawyers, accountants. It's really going for all the white collar jobs. But I also
marketers.
Yeah, absolutely. Marketers, content creators. Absolutely.
That's really not a bad thing, is it? Oh, I'm kidding.
Yeah. But here's where I see and where I'm kind of excited, or at least I'm trying to be optimistic. If you look at other times in history where there was displacement, we'll take the transportation industry when it was horse and buggy. Then the automotive industry came out, or the car industry.
Yeah.
The trickle-down effect was enormous because you had road builders, you had OEMs that supplied the manufacturers, you had tire manufacturers, and then you had the rubber tree farmers to supply that. So we can't really see it. We're in a bubble right now, but I'm hoping that it will create tremendous opportunity in the future.
Just new things.
Yeah.
It's not new that new technology will bring some people out of a job, but new things will come to it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So, Mike, are you still road tripping, or are you more fixed in the same location?
No, I'm still doing road tripping. Actually, COVID kind of brought me back to the United States. I had been doing so much international travel. So I did a big project with a RV manufacturer in 2021. I road tripped 6 months. I went to 20 states and road tripped over 10,000 miles.
Wow.
And so that was fun. And I got to go to some places I'd never been before, like Savannah, Charleston. I went down to the Florida Keys. I'd never been there. So, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
When did you start blogging?
Well, I started preparing in 2009, and then I really hit the road in early 2010. So my blog actually was officially launched in 2009, but really got going in 2010. I actually attended my very first TBEX in 2011 before you were aboard.
When were your first TBEX?
2012. Yeah. So you were in Vancouver.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. 13 was Toronto.
Yeah, 13 was Toronto. Yeah. So did you start with a blog, Mike's Road Trip, or did you start on social media first?
No, I had a blog. Yep. And I was dabbling in video, but I was horrible at it in those early years.
So were you on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it still up there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I have taken down a lot of those old videos.
So you started Mike's Road Trip in 2010. Did you start it intentionally for this to be your job, or was it just for fun? You know, a lot of people start this like, oh, we just wanted to tell our family what was going on with us on our trip or whatever. What was your motivation behind getting started?
So I had a web development online marketing firm in the late aught years. And, you know, I got caught up in that 2008 financial crisis. I had to lay off my team. I lost most of my clients, and I really needed to reevaluate what the heck I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I ended up selling everything I had. I packed up my Ford F-150 truck, and I hit the road just kind of on a soul-searching mission to find out what the heck I was going to do with the rest of my life. And I had a blog for my previous business, so I created a travel blog, Mike's Road Trip, to your point, just to kind of keep my friends and family up to speed.
Yep.
Because Mike sold all his stuff and left town. What happened to him?
Yeah. So I ended up, later that year, Got Saga, which was a big travel website back then, named Mike's Road Trip the best travel, blog tips of the year. And then 2012, I got a Travel Channel show back when they were actually doing travel content, and things just kind of snowballed, and I never expected it to turn into a career.
So when was the moment that you thought, oh, this could be a job?
I would say after the Travel Channel thing, which was 2012.
Was that something you pursued, or they just came to you out of the blue and said, hey, you want to do a TV show?
No, actually, they came to me. They must have seen my videos, because not a lot of people were doing travel videos back then. And so I was approached to do it. Actually, I was approached by Rand McNally, which was one of the sponsors of the entire show, which was...
Who make maps.
Yeah, back then.
That people would use on their road trips.
Right, absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So 2012, you start the TV show. How long did that go?
It was 6 weeks of filming.
Okay.
And there were different groups, and we were charged to find best of small town America. One team had like most beautiful, one had most fun. My group my team, it was just me and one other person, was best food. So in 6 weeks of filming, we traversed the entire U.S. We ate at 98 restaurants and tried over 400 meals.
It's a lot of eating, Mike.
Yeah.
In 6 weeks.
Yeah. Santa Fe, New Mexico ended up winning.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how many episodes aired on the Travel
Actually,
Channel?
it was just one episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
400 meals in one episode?
Yeah. 400 meals.
How many did they end up showing you on camera eating?
Well, I would say
nonstop.
Yeah, it was pretty much nonstop. Like, it was insane how much eating we had. You know, the chefs would bring out all these, you got to try this, you got to try that. And we're like, no more food. There was one time, Charlottesville, Virginia, we ate at 11 restaurants in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So you did the TV show. Mike's road trip is growing.
Yeah.
When did you really start getting into the social media platforms?
Well, I would say things really started to happen after that show. I got invited on my very first paid press trip at the end of that show. I was actually talking to the new host, Puerto Rico. That's where that trip went to.
Oh, that was your first hosted trip?
My first paid.
Oh, paid.
I had been
trip,
hosted before, but that was my first paid trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually get paid to do this. And so over the years, I have figured out different ways of monetizing what I do.
Cool.
Yeah.
And are you stronger on any of the particular platforms? Are you bigger on YouTube or Instagram or?
Well, I had a pretty good following on Facebook. I had tens of thousands of followers on Facebook, but unfortunately, my account was hacked last year. I lost it all. No way to really get it back. So I would say YouTube is number one. And then I really like Instagram. And I really played around with Pinterest for a long time, but found it to be a little too labor intensive. And
are you doing anything with Threads yet?
I am on Threads, but I really, it's funny how many people have gotten on so quickly and how little engagement I've been seeing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that's going to pan out.
Are you trying TikTok yet?
No, I refuse to do TikTok.
On principle.
He's holding out.
Several reasons.
Yeah.
So then you're not in for Lemonade either. Have you heard of Lemonade?
No, actually, I haven't.
So Lemonade is a platform kind of like Pinterest, but made by TikTok. So it's also really female heavy, but it's one of the fastest growing.
So that's interesting because
apps.
I own stock in a company called Lemonade that is an insurance displacement company. They do everything online with an AI.
Yeah, this is lemon and the number 8.
Gotcha. Oh, lemon 8. Okay.
Yeah, and their logo looks like a lemon.
Gotcha.
But it looks very Pinterest-like.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Threads, not for me because I'm European and my account is within the EU. So even with a VPN,
I'm sorry. What's there's a restriction on Threads in Europe?
Just in the US right now?
We can't use it. It's only in the
only
US.
released in the US?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're the guinea pigs?
Definitely not in the EU. So I tried to, because I wanted to check it out and I thought, what if I move my VPN to the US? I even tried here, but my account is set up with in Denmark. So yeah.
Oh, right.
They know where you are, Palle. They know where you've been.
Yeah.
They know where you're going.
So we can't use that. And we talked about Lemonade when we were in Greece and I tried that as well. So I think that might be the same case. I couldn't get on it. It's simply not in my app store. So
okay.
Yeah.
So Mike, where are you going to next? You got any trips planned?
I actually just got back from a Viking river cruise through Central Europe. And
Viking?
Yeah, Viking.
Were you rowing?
You've heard of Viking. They're the fastest growing cruise line out there. Yeah.
The raping and pillaging Viking, Palle.
I thought it was something else. Sorry.
Was that your first river cruise?
It was actually my first river cruise. Yeah.
And where was it at again?
It started from Budapest and went to Amsterdam.
What did you think?
Let's say this, I was the youngest person on there.
I've heard that their market skews older.
It does skew older, but it was, it was really kind of fun because when you're on the river, you have these incredible views along the way. So
like a train, but a different perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to like about it. I've been on a Viking ocean cruise as well, which I really recommend. I've been on a few cruises prior to that, other brands, and no, Viking really knows how to hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
So how are you monetizing your content these days?
Well, a lot of times, I'll do it on YouTube, of course. I also monetize. I have a Roku channel, which is, like the most popular streaming TV device out there. I've been on there for about 7 years. I have, been a brand ambassador for Allianz Travel for many years and also with Travelocity. Then another thing I do is I sell a lot of B-roll and, photography. To DMOs, destinations.
I think a lot of creators do not take advantage of that like you do. Yeah.
I have I at one point I had 15 different revenue streams. I also have a book, Line, Signs, and Forks, Diary of a Nomadic Road Tripper, which I'm going to talk about in my presentation. Not the book per se, but I'm going to talk about creating an audiobook with AI, because it's such a daunting task to consider creating an audio book and sitting in front of a computer, reading the entire book, then editing it. It's just a lot. Or you could hire a voice talent, but that gets expensive. But with AI, you can create an audio book very easily. And so that's something I'm looking at doing.
So will AI replace our podcast producers?
Oh, yeah. Well, even radio stations are, no, I'm not kidding, because, I'm a co-owner of some radio stations and we have looked into the fact that there are some radio stations that are completely AI driven.
Wow.
So you have some AI voice doing the news and doing the weather and, introducing the music, and it's not great.
Yeah.
But give it another year or two.
Exactly.
Julia, talked a lot about the AI this morning, and I'd be curious to get your opinion on it too, Palle, from the marketing perspective and the SEO perspective, right? It's a no-brainer that you have to use it for those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard Gary saying yesterday is, you don't want to lose the humanity of it. And I think the unsaid part, he didn't mention that specifically yesterday, was the artistry of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We say content all the time, but I heard a great guy from the music industry tell Rick Beato, is one of my favorite YouTube podcasts. He's a music industry guy. Say, when you go and look at, a painting in the Sistine Chapel, you don't go say, what great content. Say, wow, what an amazing painting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
And we should be talking about writing. We should be talking about storytelling. We should be talking about great audio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great video. Not just in this abstract word of content as just a means to an end. We're making this content so we can get your money through advertising or affiliate marketing or whatever. Let's actually make something artistic and beautiful that humans can enjoy.
And for the people listening to this, we're talking about Julie McCoy. That was in last week's episode where we talked about AI. Julie McCoy,
who gave a keynote this morning here at TBEX in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Yeah. One of the things I'm going to emphasize in my presentation is use AI as a tool, but not a replacement. Because to that point, one other example I'm going to give is I went on an amazing canoe trip down the Green River in southern Utah.
I saw some of your Facebook photos of that.
Yeah, it was really an amazing experience, and that's something AI just cannot write about. You would really lose a lot of the authenticity. However, if you're using AI as a tool, you can certainly help it to create the headlines or to help proofread it, or even edit it down. I'm going to give some examples of that in my presentation as well. That's another great use of AI. Maybe you go to a magazine and you've got a 4,000 word article, which is the example I'm giving. No one wants 4,000 words, but to encapsulate it, I felt that's what I needed. And I did find a magazine who was very interesting, but they only wanted 2,000 words. Well, that's a daunting task to edit that much out, but not with AI. Can really help you.
So what were your impressions of the talk this morning, Palle?
It was super interesting. I especially like the thing that Julia said about AIO, that where the O stands for optimization, and that's the human part that comes in there. That's how I use AI, to not start with a blank screen, but just get some things there, and then I start working on it. She mentioned the rubber ducky in her talk, and that was me. That happened when I asked it to write something humorous about Sean in Liechtenstein. And it just said, don't forget to see the sculpture of the rubber ducky on the central square. And I said, what? It's a small town. And I thought, I didn't see that. So I said, is there really a rubber ducky in Sean? And no, I was just trying to be funny.
Oh my God. That's funny.
Yeah, but it's scary because if I was too busy or
Yes.
I would have thought, oh, yeah, that's a funny story. I must have missed that.
Yeah.
And if I didn't check it, it would be like so embarrassing.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to go over that as well in my presentation.
Do you have any thoughts from Julia's presentation this morning? I think you were in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. I was. I think she hit on a lot of great points. I think it's also encouraging some of the things that she mentioned, because this is an area where you can certainly get discouraged really easily.
Overwhelmed, intimidated.
Yeah, overwhelmed for sure.
Yeah.
And that's another thing in my presentation. Everybody who comes, I'm going to have a resource tool that I've created that will help people in their AI journey so not to get overwhelmed.
Well, Mike, thanks for coming on the podcast. It's really good to see you, man. It's
Yeah,
been too
you
long.
as well.
We missed you as our voice of God, doing our introductions
My
here.
gosh, I totally forgot about that.
What was that?
Mike did it for several shows.
Yeah.
He would introduce me and introduce the keynote speakers because he's got a great voice for it.
And I remember you mentioned it, and then I completely forgot, so I apologize.
No, it's all right. You seem to enjoy doing it, I think.
I do, yeah. It's fun.
I need you to say in the voice of God, this has been Travel Matters.
This has been Travel Matters with Rick Calvert and Palle, and our special guest, Mike Shubic with mikesroadtrip.com.
He doesn't actually have to do that, affectation. He just does it good just being Mike.
Oh, yeah. In a world, one man.
That's right. Hey, thank you both so much for having me.
Thanks, Mike. Great to see you, bud.
Appreciate it.
This episode of Travel Matters was hosted by TBEX CEO Rick Calvert and Radio Vagabond Palle and produced by radioguru.co.uk.